Hello, everybody, and you're welcome to class today. It's a wonderful time to have everyone with us. The last time we were in class, we started discussing about data analysis expression (DAX), and we were able to do measures. Discussed about measures. We discussed about um, calculated columns, and we also discussed about calculated tables. Now, and we did several examples. But before we go into what we have planned for today, I just want to make something clear to everybody, especially as regards reality of work, right? Based on the data or based on the reports that we have currently that we're working with. So if you look at my data set, if you look at our data set, if you remember last week, we created a total sales, a sales price calculated column to reflect the total amount that is here, because we noticed that there are some total amounts that their what's it called, their prices are empty. Now, then later when we were digging in, we now even saw that there are some that had, for example, look at this one here. This one, Temitope Usman had the unit price of this charger empty, but we had the total amount and this thing. So that invariably also give us empty here, which in all ramification is making our data still dirty, still incomplete, right? So there's one saying that when you want to do something, it's better you do it right. You do it in the proper manner, right? And one of those things is that, remember I told you that in Microsoft Power BI, what did I do? In Microsoft Power BI, you can't easily just right click and say you want to edit anything inside of this place, right? Also, in the Power Query Editor, you can't edit anything. You can't edit the data itself that is coming in. So that brings us the solution that, okay, what is now the thing that we can do? Because we just noticed just too much of this. Another place it could have been maybe see now in this place now, it is the quantity that is missing, right? The quantity is missing and the unit price was given. This place is the unit price that was missing, but the quantity was given. Now, so what happens? How do we now go about it? How do we get the correct information? How do we make sure that what we are doing is correct? That will not take me to telling you that, is there any software that is data oriented that allows you to edit right on it? Is there any software like that, anybody? I will give you a hint. That software is green in color. Yes, tell me, Michael.
It's Excel, sir.
I can't hear you, sir.
I think it's Excel, sir.
Yes, Microsoft Excel. Now, this is where your prowess of Microsoft Excel now comes in. Now, yes, Power BI is very powerful, can do quite a lot of things, but it is still going to be nice that sometimes you might need to do one or two editing right in your Excel. Are you following me? You just quickly edit it right in your Excel, and once you have edited it, you just do what? You just go back to it. So I'm going to try and see if I can open this our file in Excel. And you should remember that we've done quite a lot of changes to it, right? I don't even know where the file is now. That's another that's another thing. I'm looking for the Ninja. So hopefully I'll be able to see it. The Ninja. Which one is this one? This one is the Ninja font shop. Okay. I have quite a lot of Ninja files. So we're supposed to look for the Ninja phone shop data set. Yes, I have this. I've seen it. So okay. So now I have this file. I think this was the file. This was the file that we are using. Yes, okay. Abdurrahim Aminat, you raised your hand. Do you have a question or something?
Yes, I do. So when you say we should go back to Excel to edit it, are we going to be deleting the rows that is affected, or
No,
there's another way for us to go about it?
we are not really deleting it.
Okay.
We are not deleting it. So there are just different ways in which you can go about it. Now, when they tell you that majority of the work that you're going to be doing as a data professional cleaning is going to disturb you the most. That is exactly what you're about to experience. Although I still don't think I should just do, I'll just do one or two, right? Because it's going to eat into our time. Are you following me? Because what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start going, okay, now I'm going to be starting to add filters. When I add filters, I'll start with the quantities. Anywhere that the quantities and the units are blank, I try to find a way to do it manually. So for example, now I have these blanks that I have in the quantity. Now all these blanks in the quantity, since I have the unit price and I have the total amount, I can do a bit of calculation and then fill them appropriately. That way I have cleaned this data. I'm not necessarily changing anything in the other places. It's only those ones that I see that is very, very important. Do you follow? Same thing, I can go to unit price. Oh, unit price. I notice that there are still some blanks in unit price as well. I noticed that there are some blanks in unit price as well. Okay, I will quickly go do what? I have the total amount, I have the quantity, I can find the unit price. So you can do all these ones still while ignoring. You know that you have done some other, you know that there are some other issues. Just you can ignore those issues because your Power BI Power Query could undo all those other issues. It's just that here it is not being handled properly. Do you understand? Yes, Mr. Michael, you have raised your hand. Tell me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question about the fact that some total amounts were left, but like they are left blank, and the other ones are highlighted. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You wanted to say what? You want to tell me that total amount is left blank? Is that what you said?
No, no, no. Like some of them, the total amount column, some of them are left aligned, some of them on the right, some on the left, some on the right.
Yes, yes, yes. The
Is
total
that?
amount
I
column,
don't.
the total amount column too is blank. There are some blanks there too, isn't it? So you can actually adjust that as well. You have the quantity, you have the unit price. So why are these one blanks? So you can actually do the calculation and put it there. Do you understand? So what you did for this one, you can do for this one, and you can do for this one at the same time. Is that understood, guys? Everybody?
So
Okay.
what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying is that after doing all those on Excel, then we take the corrected format to Power BI to continue our work.
Yeah, you don't even need to take it. Once you make the changes inside this place, for example, right? Automatically, once you save, you only refresh your Power BI. Do you understand? You're not rechanging or any. Okay, let's do one. Okay, let's look at this one now. This one and 7774, isn't it? So that means this one should be 7774. So Chinedu Emeka. So if I go to my Power BI now, if I look for Chinedu Emeka, let me sort this one. Okay, let's look for Chinedu Emeka. Chinedu. So let's look for Chinedu Emeka, for example. This Chinedu Emeka, right? So I will notice that is empty, isn't it? So if I come to this place and I put this value there and I save it, I've saved it. If I come back to this place, if I refresh from here, if I just refresh this data, watch. Do you see that it is here now?
Wow.
So that's how you can easily do. Yes, Mr. Michael. So you can easily do some of these things like that in your Excel. You don't need to, you're not changing anything. Your data source is still the data source. Once you do your changes there, refresh. But this is where the but comes in. If you are going to touch this data set, anything you're going to be doing here, if you're in a place of work, you need to minute it. What I mean by you need to take documentation to say this was what you did in this place on the original data set. Are you following me? Because tomorrow somebody can wake up and say something, 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 and you don't want issues for yourself. Are you with me? Also, you can also minute that there are some issues that you found in the data set that you need to resolve them manually. In fact, everything that we did in Power Query Editor, there are some school of thought that will say professionally you should minute those things so that in case you are leaving the job tomorrow, you're being promoted, you have a new person and they want to work on that same report, they can see and learn from it. Are you following? But now there's AI. Like I told you, I'm going to take you through the AI's version of doing everything. So you don't need to even worry yourself about some other things any longer. Yes, go on, promise.
Okay, sir. Is it safe to say that we could just duplicate like you taught us in Excel class?
Yes, like I usually teach my
Or
students, like the wonderful student that you are, is that what when you have Excel files like this. So for you, those of you that are just why are you laughing? So for those of you that are just in my class, one of the best things to do is when you have data sets like this, you usually duplicate data sets, right? Such that you have the original stored, then that one is going to be called what? Your working document. Your working document. So that is very correct. Thank you very much, Promise, for saying that. I really appreciate that. Is that clear, everybody? Okay, another person. I think you want to turn today into question and answer. Oh yeah, Mr. Michael, you raised your hand. Tell me.
Okay, sir. Do we have to turn on our data to do all of these collections? Like if I
What do you mean
connection
by
on
turn?
Excel and my data is not turned on,
What do you mean by turn
like
on?
data connection network, data
Oh no no
connection,
no no
data
no no no
connection.
no 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 no! It does not
Like
have anything. It does not have anything to do with your data connection, whether MTN data or Airtel data. No, it does not have anything to do with it. So far the file is on your computer. Just do it on your computer. If I'm working on Microsoft Power BI, I don't need to have my data on now. Data Power BI Excel does not have anything to do with whether there's you have 2 gig of or this thing. Are you following? So far the two of them are on your computer. The files are talking to themselves already. Is that understood, sir?
thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Promise your hand is still raised.
so sorry. Let me drop it.
Okay. I believe we all understood what we just discussed, everybody. Okay, good. So that by the way. So now I don't have the time to start going through each and every one of this, but I want to believe that you can all do all that on your end. So we're just going to use every other thing as is. So I think what I wanted to explain, you already got the explanation. So we can go back to our Power BI. So let me remove this, clear all this filter, and we're good. So now, before we move into what we want to do today, part of the assignment I gave you is for you to add, or let's ignore the assignment. Now we have this data. I'm Mr. Bankole, but we are working. We need, since this is a price, we need to add like a currency to it. How do I add currency to my column results in Power BI? Let's start with that. Adding currency. To do that, you can just click on that column you want to add currency to. Then you go to your table tools. I'm sorry, into your column tools. So inside your column tools, you are going to have a place that has this dollar sign. So if the United States dollars is what you are working with, you can just click on United States dollars, and then automatically it will add that for you. Do you see all that? It will do that for you there. But if not, let's say you are in Nigeria and you want to use Nigerian, you can just go and look for Nigeria somewhere. For example, this is Yoruba Nigeria. I can click on it and it is to give me the naira. Oh no, I'm not in Nigeria. I'm currently in India. So what do? I look for what? What is spent in India? What they spend in India? How do I ever say India? What money do they spend in India?
Rupee.
Rupee. Thank you. You know that's one of the most funniest thing ever. I'm in India. I don't remember what is spent in India. Okay, so uh what am I looking for? Rupees, good. So I can't find rupee. You're looking for Indian rupees. So we're looking for I. So I might not see I might see something like Bombay. It might be based on the location. Okay, this is Bangla here. So this is the rupee sign. You can see. And then I have the rupees there automatically. So any currency that you're looking for, majority of them, are, if not all of them, are always going to be here. So I'm going to leave it at Naira. So we have the Naira blend as our giant of Africa, isn't it? So that is how to add that. So what do I plan for us to discuss today? Today we're supposed to go. We are going to into the next phase of DAX. We are going into learning about using one of the most popular, if not one of the most powerful, um, one of the most powerful DAX statements that is out there. And that statement is what? Is the calculate statement. So I just shared my screen, my PowerPoint slide. Can I get a confirmation that you can see my PowerPoint slide? Can I get a confirmation that I can see my PowerPoint slide?
You can't answer.
You can. Okay, perfect. So let's continue, everybody. Now, so last class we discussed about I introduced the data analysis expression to us, where we discussed about the way we use data analysis expressions in Power BI. I told you about what brought about it and how it evolved and every other thing as regards that. So today, and we talked about the different forms of or the different objects that are relating to power DAX, which are what the measures, calculated column, and the calculated table. And we did several examples. Then we talked about the aggregate functions, right? So now, just like we have in SQL, right? You know, in SQL, we have different functions that are grouped that are grouped together into a name. Like, for example, we have some functions called window functions. We have some function called um, string functions. We have some functions called aggregate functions. We have some functions called um, any group of functions. Same thing we have here in Power BI, in DAX. So in DAX, we have the aggregate functions. We discussed about them the other time. Now, although there are some that are not grouped together, for example, the first two ones we're going to be doing today, calculate. But we still have some other group of functions based on what it is that we want to do. We still have some functions that are meant for filtering. We still have some functions that are meant for time intelligence. We still have some functions that are meant for um, other things. So we are going to be taking them. We are not going to be rushing. We are going to be taking them bit by bit, right? And see, we can't even finish all the functions that we have, right? But as much as possible, I'm going to try as much as possible that the majority of the functions that we all use in our day-to-day activity as a Power BI user or as a DAX writer, we are all going to be doing what? We are all going to be talking about it. Is that understood? And that is how we started the way we started. And also, I'm going to be giving a file which I'm going to be sharing across to everybody, right? So that you can actually always go through everything. And also, I'm going to give a function master. So that function master is going to give you like a matrix. Are you following? That one is more like a matrix. So when I say matrix, it's a matrix of, for example, let's say it's like all the functions, majority of the functions that we use in terms of DAX. Okay, year on year average, year on month average, month on month sales. How do you put? So I'll give you the generic function list. That way it eases you. Although these are things that are not some people will say, yeah, it's not good to share all these things. Let them think for themselves. Yes, it's not. But then it's always good to have something that you can always look back to. And that is why we are doing it that way. Are you following? So it's not, it doesn't stop you from learning, it doesn't stop you from anything. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. So this is something like I'm talking about. So for example, if you look at my screen, I'm saying, okay, if you want to find the full name of a column, this is the function. If you want to have the age breakdown of people, this is the function to use. The month here, this is the function to use. Temperature, region, you can see. So these are just some things that I'll just put together that you have quite a lot of them. Don't worry. I'll put it together for you in a document and I'm going to be sharing it with you once we are done with some as I please. Are you following? So don't fret, right? But the goal is not about to have all these things. The goal is for you to understand that function that is there and be able to apply it to what it is that you want to do. So that is why before you even understand that, you need to first understand all these functions one after the other first. So when you understand all these functions one after the other, when you are seeing them in the place they are being applied, you know what it is that they are doing where they are. Is that understood, everybody? Yes, Mr. Chukwudi Onwusa, you were raising your hand up earlier.
Yes, I was about to ask the changes you made from that the Excel file. It only reflected on the normal Power BI, that is the table view.
Yes,
So I
definitely.
don't know if that change will also reflect on the Power Query too.
It will reflect everywhere, both in
Okay,
Power
okay,
Query. In
thank you.
fact, in fact, You have forgotten that it will have affected inside Power Query before it comes to Power BI. Because the pathway is that
Okay.
once you're loading, you're first transformed. So that transformation, this
Yeah.
also, so this did that it loaded with that's what we did in Excel. So it's in his mind of
Okay.
Power BI, he did not know that nothing was wrong. Do you understand now?
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome. Anytime. So let's start today's class. Yes. So the last time we were together, we discussed about measures, we discussed about calculated columns, and we discussed about calculated tables. And I told you what did I say measures is for? What did I say calculated table is for? Anybody want to give it a try? What did I say? When do we use measures?
Measures for aggregate, to calculate aggregate
So
data,
measures
to
basically
aggregate
used for
data.
what? We use it when we want to aggregate data, right? Dynamic calculation, and usually the result is usually scalar. So when I say result is scalar, means that you usually have a one answer result. Are you following? You are not having the result in form of a table. You're not having the result in form of a column. Are you following? So that is what? That is measures. Yes. So what about calculated column? Calculated column is that what we are creating entire new column from the what? From the existing column. So we are creating a new column from the existing ones that we have. Then we have calculated tables. We are creating a new table from the what? Using DAX. Whether we are using the existing one or we are not using the existing one, whether we are using the existing one or we are not using the existing one, right? We would do what? We would we can use DAX to write calculated tables. And then we talked about the aggregation functions that we have, sum, average, count, and we did quite a lot of examples on count A, distinct count, and the rest. Then we have mean, we have max. Then we discussed about implicit and explicit function measures, what implicit measures are, what explicit measures are, and the best practices. So we did all that in the last class that we had together. So now today's agenda, we're going to start with the calculate function. We're going to be talking about calculate functions. Then we'll go to filter context. Then we'll go to if. Then we'll go to text functions. Then date and time functions. Now, like I did the last time that we were together, I'm also going to be sharing you that document that we had earlier. I'm going to be sharing you that document as well. So when I share the document, you would see everything. All the stuff we're going to talk about is also in the document with the examples. Is that understood, everybody? So for those of us that are following online and you want access to the document, please feel free to comment WhatsApp and the link is going to be shared with you. But at the same time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more. So now let's talk about calculate function. So what is the calculate function? Calculate function is the most important DAX function. Why is it the most important DAX function? This is because calculate function allows us to be able to do any form of calculation under any condition. Are you following? It means that what we can do anything based on a filter. We can do what? We can do anything based on a what? Based on a filter. Based on any filtering that we give. So let's go. Let's go. So let's move. So calculate functions allows us to be able to modify our measures by that is being calculated based on the filter context. Are you following? So for example, let's say you want to do what? You want to find the total amount of money that was generated from Lagos. You want that as a measure. Take of it. You want the total sales of Lagos. Normally we have done total sales before. Now, for us to do total sales of Lagos, there's no way for us to do it such that we now start using the sum alone. So, calculate allows us to override the existing filter that might have been there, right? And pick only to filter exactly what it is that we want. So, it is a DAX function that modifies the filter context of a calculation. It simply tells the Power BI that this is what I want you to calculate under this condition. Are you following? So calculate actually changes the filters before it does what? It calculates. So if you look at what we have here, you see that I've written the syntax. What is the syntax? The syntax is that it should calculate, right? But then there is the expression. What is the expression? The expression is basically what? The measure or the calculation that you want to be done that must return a scalar value. Take note, that expression, it must return what? A scalar value. It must not return a table. It must not return a column. The value that must return the expression must be what? A scalar value. So usually, that is why we work with, you see, I will say the measure. That's when I say expression, I say the measure or calculation that we want done. Is that understood, everybody? Then the next one is the filter. You can see say filter 1, comma, filter 2, comma, then dot, dot, dot. What are those filter 1, comma, filter 2 saying that, okay, oh, this expression, that is this calculation that you're going to be doing here, comma, you want to filter it based on this, or, and at the same time, you want to filter it based on this one too, and at the same time, you want to filter it based on the other one. So the dot dot dot, the dito means we can filter one expression as much as possible. So for example, let's say we want to find I think I have an example. Good. So let's say I'm looking for the sales that occurred only in Lagos State, for example. So I can name that measure Lagos sales. Then I use the calculate. I say calculate the sum. You can see calculate, which one we're talking about. Then the expression there is the sum of sales. That is sum of all the sales. But sum of all the sales for what? This is the filter now. Sales of Lagos. That is what? It will only show you the sales that are in Lagos sales. No matter the filtering that is done, no matter the city that is selected, no matter the slicer that is used, that one will not change. It will always be Lagos sales. Are you following me, everybody? So that is the power of what? That is the power of calculate. Now you can see this one is used in just one expression. I went for the, okay, I think I gave various examples. So this is when you have multiple. The way you use it for one, you can also use it for multiple scenarios. The major thing that you just have to do there is for you to do what? Separate it by comma. Now this one is saying I want to see the phones that were sold in Lagos in 2024. So I am filtering with the city, I am filtering with the category, and I'm also filtering with the year. Do you see? I'm filtering with the what? I filtered with the what? First, I say calculate. Then I say the sum of sales amount, which is the expression. Then what's next? The filters. The first one is the sales city, Lagos, the product category, phone, and the sales year, 2024. And for this to have a result, the three of them must be true. So it will only look for where there is Lagos, where there is phone, and where there is 2024. And that is how you get your result. Please, is that understood, everybody? Okay, good. That's very, very wonderful. So then let me take it back. So these are some other examples that you can use calculate to do. So for example, you want to have your high value sales. You want to know the total amount of your high value sales. You said, okay, you want it to sum up everything, but I want you to sum up only the sales that are greater than, say for example here, 1, 2, 3, 100,000. Right? You have here 2024 sales. You want to sum up all the sales for just 2024. You have for phone sales. Sum up all the sales for the category phone. You have your new customer sales. Sum up all the sales where the type of customer is new. You can see you are doing something based on a filter context. Do you understand? So that is how calculate works. There are still much more complex this thing with calculate. But if you understand all this one and these two ways that I have brought it, you wouldn't really trouble yourself much. So let's bring it into action before we go into what's it called? Before we go into filter context. So let's go back to our data set. So now let's say that one wants to you want to know the sales for Lagos. Now there's something that I would like to quickly incorporate in our report. Everybody, one of the good things that makes your data set easy or that makes your work easy for you to understand and sometimes easy for you to grasp what you are doing so you don't get confused is that you should create a separate table for your measures. You should create a what? A separate table for your measures. So that measure table is like a container in which all your measures are going to be stored inside of it. All your what? Measures are going to be stored inside of it. What am I talking about? So for example, how do I do that? I'll just come to table tools. I will say new table. Right? You see it's opened a new table for me down here. It says table. I will just change the name. I can say this one should be measures table, and I'll just say equal to and press enter. So it will create a blank table for me such that any measure that I create, they will be inside of this measures table. Do you understand? So that way I will see all my measures. I'm going to have all of them in one single place. Are you following me? So now let's say I have, which one did I create earlier? All those ones I created in the former file I did not save. We can put all of them there. Now let's start with the calculate. So let's say I want to know the sales that happened in Lagos. How do I go about it? Okay, so let's start with total sales first. So I can say in this one now, I can say I want a new measure now. So when I say new measure, I can say I want total sales or total revenue. Let's say total revenue is equal to what? Is equal to sum, right? Sum of what? Sum of sales price, for example. Close the bracket. Enter. So if you look at it, this one now, it is not inside this thing to scatter all these ones. It is seen alone inside the measures table. That's what I'm talking about. So you can see. So now let's get another measure. Now this time around, we want to create the measure for what? For Lagos sales. So how do we go about it? We say Lagos sales. So Lagos sales is equal to what? Calculate. Now, if you look at it, it says what? Calculate expression then filter. Evaluate an expression in a context modified by filters. So what is the expression? The expression is sum of what is it called? So I'm going to do two. Why is it important to have these measures, some measures pre-done? You see what I'm going to do now. So I'll say sum of what? Sum of sales price. Abi? That is the sum. That is the expression. Comma. We will now say what? What is the next thing? Is where the city. So where the city is what? Is equal to what? Lagos. Right? That is the filter now. The filter is that what? Where the city is what? Is equal to Lagos. Then we close our bracket. Now let's go. So let's say I have total revenue now as 13 million. Right? Now what if I have Lagos sales? 889k. Isn't it? Now let's say I have this and city. So these are the cities. And I quickly adjust the. Somebody asked me, how did I have my own like this? I think I responded to that person on that day, right? And have you been able to do your own? Do you have your own like my own now? I can't remember who the person was, but I remember that I was asked that question that day. So let's do it like this, and I think it's okay like this. So now, if you look at it, here I have total revenue. Here I have Lagos sales. So this total revenue is the revenue of all these ones joined together. Kano plus Ibadan, all the amount that was here, make up this 13 million. Then only Lagos is 889K. So if I click on this filter now, Pam Kano, you see that Kano became 1 million here. You see that this Lagos sales did not change. Even if I come and now click on Lagos down here, you see it stayed at 889, 889. That is the power of calculate. Now, this is just small in what it can do. It can do larger than that. So let's do the second one. Let's do it in 2 dimensions. So let's say Lagos sales in 2024, right? Or Lagos sales were Lagos sales phone sales in Lagos. So let's do for phone sales in Lagos. So I can just go to new measure, right? And I'll say what I want for what Lagos. No, I said I wanted to show you another example. What if I did like this? Lagos sales. And I say Lagos sales is equal to calculate. Now, this expression, remember that you know that it is the sum of sales amount, that is the total sales. What if I call directly and that was the total revenue? Can't I call total revenue? Let's see whether it would work. I can just call total revenue, comma, that one will be our expression. Then what? My city is going to be what? Is going to be the filter directly. So let's see whether this would work. So let's see. So we have this. So let's see. Let's bring our data in. We have what? Lagos sales, this one. Do you see that we have the same thing? Do you see that we have the same thing? No difference. So that's why sometimes it's good that as much as possible, all those major first prerequisite of data that you need, first aggregation, first do all of them first. Once you do all of them, you can always refer back to them and nest them inside another function. Do you understand? So this, you can see we have the same thing. This one is longer and can be confusing, while this one is what? Simple and straightforward. Even though the way I've written them, I've not written them properly. So let me just quickly teach you. Another thing is that when you're writing your measures, it's always good. For example, when you're using calculate, right? You have it like this. You have it properly written such that when you are reading it yourself, you know what it is that you've done. So say calculate. So this is your expression, comma, then this is your filter. Perfect. This is one of the best ways you can write. In fact, calculate will also come down after the call to Sunday. So this is the perfect way to write your this thing. So you are calling the calculate function, you are summing, and you are doing that. Perfect. Good. We're going to do this one too. So now let's now do for phones in Lagos. So how do we go about phones in Lagos? So I could say, okay, yes, I'm in the measures table. I want a new measure. I want Lagos phone sales. So I say Lagos phone sales, for example. Say equal to what? Equal to calculate, right? What's the expression? Total revenue straight up, comma. We want what? The city to be equal to what? To be equal to Lagos, comma, and the product to be equal to what? To be equal to phone. Simple. Close the bracket. Now in this case, let's just quickly format it. 1, 2. So we have 2 filters in this place. The first filter is the Lagos, the second one is phone. So let's see. Good. So when I come here now, when I bring in the file, for example, so this is the Lagos state, this thing. So you can see I have it as blank. So let's dig deep inside. Let's see. So let's go back to our table. Let's see. We might have made a mistake somewhere. Okay, so we don't have, so there's a possibility we don't have phone directly. So we don't have phone directly. So let's say we are looking for, what should we look for now? Wait, oh, did we not do all this cleaning very well? So I'm still saying phone, power bank. This is not too good. It's not good. We need to do all these things before our external people come. Earpiece, earpiece. This is not good. I thought we cleaned this data before now. Well, we need to go through it. So let's see. We want to
Now we
give.
did though. And I also noticed that after
Okay.
cleaning, I'll go back and start
I'll just we'll check
again.
it again. We might have missed something somewhere. So let's say we are looking for the keyboard. Keyboard in Lagos, for example. Keyboard. So let's just quickly change that to what? Keyboard. So keyboard sales. So I'll say where this is what? Keyboard. Right? Then enter. Now you can see we have sales. Now this is what we have. So let's confirm it. So let's say I say, okay, oh, I have my product and I have my product and the total amount or the sales price of the product in front of them like this. And then I have a slicer somewhere for where is location? City. But the city, I don't want it to be like this. I want the city to be a form of a slicer. Good. So now I'm looking for Lagos. Watch everybody. So I say Lagos. So when I say Lagos, you can see every other thing filtered to Lagos. Even this one filtered to Lagos. Now this one too has filtered to Lagos. Now where is keyboard? This is keyboard here. So let me just copy this, format this one and bring it to this. Good. So now I can see keyboard is what? 0.05. This is 52. You can see that is it. So depending on where you want to use it, you can see we now have our what? For Lagos, keyboard in Lagos is 51,000, right? 51,500 and 51,600 naira. So which is also what we have here approximately. So that is how we used what? That is how we work with the calculate function. Any question? Any question? No question. So do we all understand what I've explained? So we all understand what I've explained. Let me hear from you. Do we understand what I've explained? The way calculation works, calculate works. Before we move it, before we go to the other part. Hello.
So for me, I think I'll just go back and rewatch. To some extent, yes, I understand. Just to
Okay,
rewatch and keep
no
up
problem.
to, so that I'll get used to it.
Okay, so let's talk about the filter context. Let's talk about what filter context, what's it called? What it's really all about. So what is filter context all about? When we say filter context, so basically is that filter context is a set of filters that is currently applied to your data. Just think of it like, oh, what is the subset of data that you're currently looking at? Or what data is Power BI currently looking at? Are you following? Or think of it like, okay, calculate this, but for which specific part of the data are you calculating it for? That specific part here, that is what we call the filter context. So if I go back to our Power BI dashboard report now, so we can see I have filtered this to Lagos. So this is the filtering context for Lagos. So if I remove it now, everything is normal. When I'm filtering, is what I am showing what the set of filter where the calculation, all this calculation is now only on where? On Lagos. Is that understood, everybody? Now, so it comes from where we slice our report. You can see I say where did the filter context come from? It comes from the slicers that we have on our report. It comes on the filters that we have on our visual. Remember the filters I taught you that you have filters here. You could have filters in how many forms? 3 forms. Whether you have the filter on the visual, the filter on the page, or the filter on all pages, right? We discussed about that at length in our first classes, first 3 or 4 classes back from now, right? Good. So you can have the filter context from there, or some rows or columns that is in a table. So for example, let's say this report now, we have it instead of it to be in a bar chart, we represent it in a matrix table, for example. So if I click on it now, Bluetooth speaker, or let's see it, where is keyboard? This keyboard, Abi. If I click on keyboard like this, you will see that what it has filtered everything to 52K. That is what that part is saying about rows or in a table or in a matrix. Then you can see the last one, which is what? Calculate function, which is what we have just discussed. So the filter context allows us to filter, is the set of what? Of filters that is currently applied, because it can change. Are you following me? It can do what? It can change. So we can use calculate to do what? To change the filter context. Because while, for example, if this one now, if I change it to Onitsha, I've changed this to Onitsha. So let me remove this. So I have changed this to Onitsha. Do you notice that Onitsha value is here? The value of total here is here. And this one that I have here, this table 2 is of Onitsha. But look at all these other ones that I use calculate on. Did they change? No, because the calculate that is on top of these ones, the formula that is the backbone of these ones, because they are DAX, number one. The second one is that there's a calculate function there that has overridden the filter context, whatever filter context that we are doing. Are you following? That is why it is very, very important that you are in tune with what it is that you are doing, because your calculate function can override any form of filter context that you have. Because our slicer now is on Onitsha, but the result that we are seeing is for where? Is for Lagos State. So why is it like this? Is because your filter context will always win. Calculate function will always override any form of filter context that we do what? That we have. Are we following, everybody? So these are just different scenario of what I was saying earlier. So let's say in the case of no filters was given, there was no filter, your total sales would have shown 5 million, which is all the sales from all the cities, from all the products at all time period. The filter context at that stage is everything. But the second scenario is when you select Lagos like this, PM, it will filter all the sales to what? To show only the sales that is in Lagos State. So the filter context in that case is what? Is the Lagos only. Are you following? So that is what we are talking. That's what filter context is all about. I believe with that we understand the way filter context works now, because that was why I quickly brought that in, because I needed to add it in my slide so that I will not forget to explain what filter context is really all about. So what does it respond to, or what does it tells you? The filter context is telling you that which data am I allowed to see right now, or which data am I seeing right now, or which data do I want to see right now. Then you just PM and then you have it done. So that is what we have about what? Filter context. In a particular point in time, I can now bring another person to come and talk about filter context DAXs, because we have some DAX that affects the way filter context works, like all filter. There's a function called filter. There's a function called remove filter. There's a function called all. So there are still functions. It's plenty. But all these basic terminologies, all these basic usage, you need to do what? You need to first understand them as much as possible. And that is why we are here. Are we following, everybody? Are we following? Okay. So the next thing we are going to go now is we are going to go into the if function. Now, what is the if function? The if function is just the same way if works almost everywhere else that you know. For those of us that were coming from Power BI background, the same way if works there is it's practically almost the same way if works here as well. So if allows us to return different results based on a given condition. It allows us to return what? Different results based on a given condition. That is, if our function, it allows us to add a logic that if this is true, do this. Otherwise, do that. Are you following? So if you look at the syntax is very straightforward. If the logical test, what you want to test, is something greater than something, is something less than something, is something equal to something, is something not equal to something, is something plus something equal to something, is this one true or false, this and that. One, then result if true. If that thing is true, if the logical test has been done and the logical test is true, then show this. That show this that is there can be another function entirely. That show this that is there can be bring out a column. That show this that is there can be add a column. It can be anything. But this is the result. This is what should happen when the logical test is true. And this is what will happen when the logical test is false. So we want an example. We said we want to show if the sales target is met. So for example, the target is if our target is greater than or equal to 1 million or 10 million, then target met. But if it is not, below target. Are you following me? As simple as that. So if it's very, very easy and straightforward. So let's go back to our Power BI now. Let's try to do that. Let's try to do that in our Power BI. So instead of 1 million, we're going to use 500,000. Right? So we're going to say, okay. Now the question I want to ask you is for if, eh, does it work as um a calculated column or as a measure? Ha. Mhm.
It's real time. It should be calculated measures. Huh?
Why?
Because it's how will I explain? For measure, it's
Mm.
how will I say? I don't know how to explain because it's query time. Let me use that word to like put it. So I don't know how to explain, but I'll just say it's calculated measure.
Okay. Any other person? Any other person wants to give it a try? Nobody else is talking.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, what's the question? My network.
Okay, I asked if. I just discussed about if. So I said if, does it work as a measure or does it work as a um Does if work as a measure or as a calculated column?
I will say measure, sir.
You say measure. Okay. So somebody has said measure, whether as a calculated column. Okay, let me so that we
Is it
know.
the if condition, right?
Yeah, the if condition, yes.
Sir?
Yes, the if condition. Where does it work? Does it work in calculated measure, in measures, or in calculated column? I think you said measure, right?
No, calculated column,
It's
calculated
in
column.
calculated.
Mm.
Okay,
Ah,
so
no.
the reality is that what if can work in both calculated column and in measures. So we're going to see it. We are going
Okay.
to see it in action now. So let's start. So let's say for our is sales, right? We want to categorize our sales into a high sales or a low sales. So if a sale is more than 50,000, we want to say it is high. And if a sale is less than 50,000, we want to say it's low. Well, yeah, let's do it. How do we go about it? I want a new column for high and low, isn't it? I can say I want it as a sales status. So what is the sales status? If logical test, if what now? If the sales price, you can say I can't see sales price. So if Ninja, hmm, oh no, it can't be here. Sorry, cancel. I was supposed to come and do it. Since it's a calculated column, it must be inside of this table. You remember? It will be inside this table. So I'll now start again, new column. I have to click the table first. So I said, what did I call it? I called it what? Status, sales status, right? So I said, if tab, if the sales price, so the sales price is what? Is greater than, let's say, 20,000 or 25,000, comma, what is the value if true? Is it high, the status is high, comma, and what is the value if false? Low, close bracket, enter. You see? Simple and straightforward. This is if in calculated column. Oh yeah, should we do the same thing in measure? Yeah, let's do the same thing in measure. You will not tell me the one you
Right
picked.
on, sir.
So in measure, I can go back to our measure table. Okay, I want a new measure, right? Inside this new measure, I want the same thing. Sales status now, or sales status 2, for example, is what? If. Now you can see, do you notice something? I can't go and pick, I can't directly pick what? I can't directly pick the, what's it called? I can't directly pick the table now because one, the tables are not related and a lot of other things. So I don't want to complicate issue. So let's go back to let's click this inside this place. We can now do it inside this place and move it later. Don't worry. So new measure one. Then I say sales status 2 is equal to what? Sales status 2 is equal to if tab, if what? If the sales price, okay, what is it? If total sales, if total revenue is greater than or less than, yes, if total revenue is greater than what? 25,000, right? 25,000, comma, but what do we call it? high, and if not, low. So this should go as well. Now, what I have done, it looks as though they are the same, but one is a filter context. This one here now is a what? Row context, row by row. It does it row by row. While the sales 2, the sales 1 does it row by row. The sales 2 is on filter. You will not know because you are not seeing anything. Because if I click sales 2 now, you have I. Why is it I? Because it's at 13 million. Watch it when I add it to, when I add city to it. Boom. You see what happened in the city? Everybody is high. Okay. Now I'm going to remove the city. I'm going to put the product to it. Now do you see? Data cable is low. So let me pick Kano. When I pick Kano now, I will see that in Kano, some places are low, some places are high. If I pick Onitsha now, in Onitsha, some places are low, some places are high. If I pick Uyo, some places are low, some places are high. Worry, do you see? So when you use if in measure, it runs based on the filter context and it changes with the slicer, the visual, or the filter, and it is really not stored anywhere. But when we use if in calculated column, what am I doing? So let's say I bring customer name now. I can say their status now. Matrix table. No. How do I even show this one now? Okay, now let me just show it back here. So you can see now this one now, the low and low, these ones are only for what? They are only for each and everybody. It is not cumulative. But the other one is cumulative. Do you get it now? This one is not cumulative. This one is run row by row. And it cannot change with filter. And the result is stored. Because why? It is a calculated column. Whereas the other one is dynamic. It will change based on the filter. I mean, it runs based on the what? Filter context. It changes based on the slicer, the visual, and the filter that you are using at that time. And it is not stored. But when you are using it as a calculated column, what is it? It is usually what? It is stored. Do you understand? So yes, there are some of them that can work both for filter context and row context. You have just seen it in action now. Are you following me, everybody? Good. So let's go back to our slide. So now we've been able to do this if. So we have different examples we can use if. So we can have a sales category. We have the performance rating. So if the revenue is greater than or equal to the target, you pass. If not, you fail. Discount status. These are some of those stuff I told you I will able to cumulate, and I'll send it to you. Don't worry. So you can just like have it like a bank that you can always go to. A bank like you can always go to. Once you go to that bank, you pick what you need and you go. So that is what I have created. Then yes, we can also have nested if. Just like we have in Excel that we have nested if. In Power BI as well, we could have what? Nested if at the same time. So nested if is just an if inside another if. There's nothing difficult about it. If you just put your mind to it, you will see that there's nothing difficult about it. For example, you have your performance level. If the total sales is greater than 10 million, excellent. That is true. If not, that is the result if false. Then run another if. Total sales is more than 50 million. That one is good. If not, run another if. Total sales is now more than 10 million or 1 million. Then average. If not, then you need improvement. Then you close all this one. Should we try to do it? Yeah, let's try to do it together. Let's try multiple if. But before I go, this one that I have here, is it a is it as a um is it as a column or as a is it as a column or as a measure?
For me, I'll still go with measure because measure is dynamic.
Good.
It's very
Thank you.
important.
So let's take it measure wise. So we call it what? See, another way to make measures, I can just go to the table, right click and say new measure. As simple as that. So when I say new measure, it still run the same thing for me. We want to do what? What do we call that stuff? Performance level. Good. So performance level is what? Performance level is that what? Is that we want to know if the total sales or the total revenue is what? Is greater than what? Or equal to, say for example now, let's say 5 million first. 5 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, comma, 1, 2, 3. This 5,500,000. 5, 1, 2, 3, comma, so this 5 million. Good. So if it is 5 million, then we say what? What do you say it is? Excellent. Right? Comma. So result if false now. So result if false, instead of you say poor or something, you will now do what? You will now add another if to it. Say no. What that's if again. Now if the total revenue in this stage again is now what? Is now greater than or equal to now. Is it greater than or equal to we're going to use? Yes. If it's greater than or equal to, let's say 1 million now. 1 million. 1 million. Comma. Then we say what? We say good. Comma. Let's say another if. If your what? Your total revenue is now is now greater than or equal to, let's say 100,000. Is greater than or equal to 100,000, then it is what? Fair. So that's the result if true. So the result if false for this one now is what? Is we want it to show as need improvement. Then you close your brackets. Now take note you open 3 brackets. So that means if you close this one, that's for the inner one. Enter. You close the second one, that's for the next one. Then enter again. You close the other one. Now you have all your brackets closed. Enter. Now let's see what we've done. It means, let me delete this one. So we have performance level. So let's say we want to know the city and their performance level. Do you see what we did? So based on this thing, we can see we have good, fair. Good, fair. Why do we have good and fair, everybody? Because if you look at the price, yeah, if you look at this side here, this total revenue, we can see based on that thing, it's only Kano that makes 1 million. Every other one is not up to 1 million. You can see that's why they're all fair. Can you see? So you can just, this is just like an as like a what's it called? Like a test. So we can adjust it as you want. So let's say greater than 500,000. Let's remove 110 each. Let's see the result. You can see now we have good, we have excellent. Everybody is excellent. So that is how that one. Can see it's very simple, very simple. You know, until I give you assignments. Abina, is that not it? Everything is very simple, yes, until I give you assignments. That's what only Chi will say. Well, she has been telling me since last year. Everything is simple until Mr. Bankole gives us assignments. So that is nested if, right? So I think we are going to call it a day. I can't go further. We will just continue with, let me see, do we have, oh my god, we still have quite a lot, you know. So when next we meet, which is next week, we'll talk about text functions and date functions and other things. So thank you very much everybody for staying tuned in today's class. I believe we're able to learn one or two things. Please, if you watch our videos and you have some, you notice some things, you need to let us know. Please put it in the comment section. We are open to criticism, we're open to everything. Let us know so we can improve on our videos. For those of us in class, if you have questions as well, put it in the comment section. Don't hesitate. Please try to share this video, forward, share, like, subscribe. Thank you very much for being with us from the beginning up to now. And peace. Do have a wonderful evening. See you next class. So next class, we'll be discussing about text functions, we'll be discussing about date and time functions, and some other things from there. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful um, time. Bye. Bye bye for now.
Thank you so much, sir. Good night.
So much, sir. Thank you so much.